Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for being back. In today's demo I'm going to show you how you can install Kubernetes cluster on your local Windows environment, and I have prepared here a readme file for this, and which I'm going to share in the video description as well. Basically you need a few prerequisites, starting with installing WSL for Windows, then installing Docker if you don't have. Make sure that the Docker engine is running, starting your WSL terminal, and from there I'm going to show you how to deploy two kinds of Kubernetes cluster. One is called Minikube, if you haven't heard of it, and the second one is called Kind. Both of them are really easy tools that you can install locally on your machine and use for local tests if you need to test something on Kubernetes instead of starting to build a from scratch Kubernetes cluster. So let's start then. So I'm using Visual Studio Code, but basically you can use a command prompt on your Windows. If you already have Visual Studio Code, feel free to do it with it. I'm going to show you how to do it with Visual Studio Code. So let's start up a new terminal. This will open a PowerShell terminal for you. And if you have already installed the WSL on your computer, you should simply type bash. This would spin up for you a Linux terminal. You can check, for example, your architecture with new uname m, and with this you can start installing Minikube and Kind. So I would say to install both, just to play around with both. I have used both in my home labs, and they work fine. Okay, so my Docker engine is also running, as you can see. I don't have anything created yet, and let's start with Minikube. Minikube is very simple. After the installation, you just need to type Minikube start, and this would start a one node Minikube cluster for you. You can see here the Docker terminal, the Docker desktop, that it creates a container which is called Minikube, the container ID, and yeah, basically the cluster will start in a few seconds, and you're ready. It automatically switches you to the Minikube namespace and config, so you don't need to type kubectl use context or anything like this. So you can just verify with kubectl config get current context. Yeah, and you can see that the current context is Minikube. So from here you can execute kubectl get node. For example, you would have only one node, which is also a control plane because you don't have any other nodes. You can do kubectl get namespaces. You have the default namespaces. You can also create new namespaces. Create namespace demo. Okay, so you have a new namespace created. Yeah, you can see that you created a demo namespace. And when you're done with all your local tests, or just if you want to play around and see what you get, you can simply do Minikube stop, which will just power off the container and stop the cluster. You won't lose anything on this cluster. You can verify with start command, and you would see that the namespace we created is still existing. So you haven't, it doesn't create every time a new cluster for you when you type start or stop, unless you pointed to create a new cluster. So let's get the namespaces. Yeah, you can see that the demo namespace is still existing here. I recommend when you stop the cluster and if you're done with the tests and you don't need to test anything else, to delete the Minikube cluster, because next time when you want to test something else, it's good to start from scratch. You might have problems starting again. So this is why I do Minikube delete. And this would delete the container in Docker. So you see you don't have any more containers. So let's quickly do the same with Kind. Okay, so let's create a Kind cluster with name of Kind demo. It takes the latest version of which Kind has. I didn't mention, but with Minikube, of course, you can have more than one node. You just need to execute a more specific command, like Minikube start, and you put the nodes as a prerequisite. And you can have a cluster with 1, 2, 3, 4 nodes, depending on your personal architecture and the resources you have on your laptop. So you can see that the Kind cluster is up, and basically you can check the cluster info. It gives you a command, Kind cluster info. Okay, so you can do again kubectl config current context. So you're in the Kind demo cluster. kubectl get namespaces, kubectl get nodes. kubectl get nodes. Yeah, you have only one node again. And you might probably ask, but yeah, you can have both of them running at the same time. So you do a Minikube start, and this will create a separate container with a Minikube cluster for you. So let's wait a little bit. Yeah, you can already see in the Docker desktop console that you have two clusters running. One is called Kind and the other one is called Minikube. So currently it automatically switched you to the Minikube cluster. So you can verify with kubectl cluster info. Oh, it has a dash. Kubernetes, yeah, you can see. So you can do kubectl config current context. You see you're in the Minikube, kubectl get nodes, kubectl get namespaces, and you see that you're in the Minikube. So to switch back to the Kind, you would do kubectl config use context Kind and the name of the cluster it created, Kind demo. So this way you're back to your Kind cluster. And basically this is how you have two clusters, one with Minikube and one with Kind, running at the same time. I hope this has been useful for you. If you like the video, hit the like button, and also you can share the knowledge with other people who are interested in this technology. So thank you for watching and see you in the next one. Bye guys.